Cardstock slopers are a must-have for anyone serious about pattern making. Unlike paper patterns, which tear, get wrinkled, and become very difficult to use over time, cardstock slopers are very strong and durable. They make it much easier to trace around the outside edge and use them repeatedly. So what I do is I start with a paper sloper and I fine tune the fit with that. So I'll make 2, maybe 3 garments with that paper sloper. Once I've fine tuned and perfected the fit, then I put it on cardstock and then I can have that to use it repeatedly. Let me show you how I do that. Okay, I'm going to copy over this sloper, which I've made a few garments with, so I know it fits me quite well. I did make an adjustment here that I did not remove yet, so I need to take this little bit sliver off here because I made it slightly smaller. So I'm going to be taking this sloper. I know it fits me. I've made a few different adjustments. You can see up here, I've added a little bit here. I've changed the shoulder seam a little bit. I had pushed some to the back because the outfit kept, all the dresses I made kept sloping backwards, like shifting backwards. So I made that adjustment. And I usually make notes about the adjustments I've made. I sometimes put the date of the adjustment just so I know. So now I'm pretty happy with this sloper. So I'm going to put it onto cardstock so it doesn't get so ratty, because you can see it starts getting a little ratty as you make so many different things out of it. So I don't want to lose its really good shape that I've spent so much time making. I'm just lining this up so I know this is a right angle, so I figure I'll just use the paper to help me get a nice clean right angle there. So you have to just line everything up super carefully. You just don't want to rush this step, because any mistakes that you make at this phase will get carried out into all future garments that you make. So I do not want that. I will still keep this paper sloper. I have the date on it, which I know will be the most recent sloper. So if I do have to make any adjustments, I would make it on the paper sloper, and then which is just a lot easier than the cardstock sloper. And then I could create cardstock again, but I usually wait to do the cardstock until I'm pretty comfortable with the fit. But then things change. Sometimes you're going to have to make another cardstock sloper at some point. But I don't want to be making them every single time out of cardstock. So I'm using a mechanical pencil, just very carefully going through as close to that line to be very, very careful. I've drilled holes here using my awl to indicate these dart points. I want to know where this dart is, the legs, because sometimes if I have a sleeveless garment, I might want to take it in there. So I want to know where that is. I have those notches, and that's I have the waist notch here, so I know where the waist is going to do. And what I think I'm going to do at the waist is to use this tool, and then I can it has a slight curve to it, the waist. It's not a straight line. So it just would be easier if I use this tool to indicate that line. Okay, there we go. So now we'll take this off, and I'm going to draw this line in. Part of it is straight. Here, this first part is always straight at the center front. It's just a straight line. Oh shoot, I went off a little bit. It's always, you hold the ruler as tight as you can, and sometimes it just slips though. And for here, I'll just do smaller little lines. Keep moving the ruler. There we go. Then I'm going to draw in my dart. I have a double dart here. Draw those in. With my mechanical pencil. I like the mechanical pencil because you don't have to keep sharpening it. And then this goes to here too. Okay. And I think that's all the marks that we need to do. What I like to do is we're going to say that this is a woven dress sloper. It's the front. And I'm going to put the date on it. I always like to know the most recent date, the date that I did this. We're going to indicate that this is center front, a CF right there. I put the size of the dart here. This dart is 7/8. I just had to remeasure it because I had extended it a bit here. Originally it was a 3/4 dart, but it got a little bit bigger because I extended that there. So that's 7/8. I didn't put this dart in here. The side dart goes there also. And that dart is 1 1/8. Okay, and my shoulder is 4 1/2. My neckline is 4 5/8. My armhole is 10. That includes this in here because I normally leave that in. Only even with sleeveless, I often leave it in. I just have the option there to take it out. The side without the dart is 9. I know what the waist is, and this little, so we have a note to myself here, 3/8 inch waist shaping taken above the waist. Okay, so we have that, just a little note to myself so I remember. 5-inch darts here. Just going to put center front again here, just in case these two pieces, if I did decide to separate those, which I could put easily add a seam here. So it'd be nice to know that. It's 8 1/4 here on the front from waist down to the hip, but it's 9 1/4 on the side. So I always have a different amount in the center front. The side and the center back are very different for me, so I'm very clear to identify them. And I'm going to write the hip measurement, and sometimes I put in the total ease just so I remember. So for me, for this pattern, I've put in a total ease at the bust of 1 inch, and the waist I put in 1 inch. And I do have to, I should probably put the hip here, but I don't remember. See, this is why I put these things in, because I don't remember. The hip I probably put in 2 inches, but I don't remember, so I'm going to have to check that. I'll go back and check my measurements. And I can put in, once I figure that out, I think it's probably 2 inches, but let me go back and check it. You think you're going to remember these things and then you just don't. I like to enter in, so for the length, I just write some notes to myself so I don't have to keep remembering. So you add 16-inch to get to below knee, and 20-inch. That's the problem with mechanical pencils. They do break easily. 20-inch to mid-calf. Now that's for me. I'm very tall, so for you it might be completely different, but I like to make those notes so I'm not constantly having to go back to old patterns to see what I added to get which height. Oh yeah, this, I did forget one other thing. I do like to do this measurement to the apex. So just make sure I'm completely parallel there to the center front line. Draw a line there. And that's 4.5. Sometimes I might want to know that measurement, so I'm gonna just add that there so I know that that is 4.5. So I think that's all I need. So now we're gonna cut it out. I'm gonna get my paper scissors, and you want to cut right inside that line because the pencil line goes right to the outside of the old sloper. So if I cut the outside of this pencil line, I would make it ever so slightly bigger, which I do not want to do because every time you recreate the pattern, and if you keep repeating that process, you're just going to keep making it bigger and bigger. So right inside the line should get me right where I want to be. So you should just not be able to see that pencil line. If I cut it off, you would not see the pencil line. Right here, I want to make sure this is a right angle. So the pattern should be like that, but when I cut, I also am careful to cut at a right angle. So I'm going to come around this way. There we go. This is a nice straight line. Makes it a little easier than the curves. And off. Cut here. Make sure it's nice, smooth curve here. The arm. And then we're going to make sure here again we're at a right angle when we finish so we don't end up with a peak inadvertently. So there we go. We have our sloper in a nice cardstock. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my rabbit out, add a hole there so I can hang it up. Grab the back, do the same thing to the back. And there we go. We have our front and our back dress sloper in nice cardstock. Makes it quite easy to, when I trace it moving forward, it's a lot easier to trace along this hard line than it is to trace along the piece of paper. And the last thing we need to do is use our notcher, this little tool, which is very handy, that will notch make little notch marks as we go along here. Makes it very easy to put keeps getting stuck in there for me. It just makes it easier to put your pencil right in there. And then also when you're clipping your notches with your pattern, you do not have to cut through the paper, which dulls your fabric scissors. So when you have a little notch, it makes it a lot easier. I'm just going to put a notch here just in case I need it. I don't think I will, but can't hurt. So I have notches there. Put some in here already. Finish these up. Put one at the waist. I sometimes want to know where that other waist is. and I have one there. So we have all the notches put in here. We have the holes put in at each things. I've labeled everything, so we're all set.